Hello, this is Amirishan. What are the first steps to creating a WordPress theme? Well, you might see a lot of themes on WordPress repository and in Watermarket, and you wish that you could create one of those. Well, it's not that hard, but it's not going to be that easy either. You just have to practice. And we're not going to build an endful theme in this tutorial, but we are going to take the first steps needed. You already know what a theme is. It changes your website's design and look. If you take a look at WordPress repository themes, you see a lot of themes and about 9,000 free themes here. Each of these themes have a different design, but they are created with the same standards and ways. And in this tutorial series, we're going to learn some of those standards and ways. But before we start, you need to make sure that you have two things ready: your IDE or code editor and your development environment. I'm using PHP Storm for my IDE, but you can use Atom or VS Code and any other code editor that you prefer. Also, you have to install WordPress on your local host. If you don't know how to do this, there's a lot of tutorial out there and you just need to search and install WordPress on your local host. After you installed WordPress on your local host, you just have to create a folder for your theme. You just go to WP, Content, and Themes. Well, the first step is to create a folder. You can call it whatever you want. It's kind of your WordPress theme name. I'm going to call this first theme. Well, when your folder is created, you have to create two required files in it for a theme. WordPress requires two files for a theme to be loaded in WordPress. So I'm going to open my IDE and load the project that we just created. So I'm in my WordPress theme folder now. And the first file that I need to create is a style.css. So I'm going to create that file. Well, in this file there is some mandatory information for your theme. As you might guess, you can put all of your styles in this file. Some developers prefer to leave it empty, but it's your choice, it doesn't matter. But there is one section of code that you have to put in this file. It's required by the WordPress, although it's a comment. So I'm going to show you an example of it. If you look at WordPress theme handbook, you can see an example of it. I'm just going to copy it and put it right here. Well, I'm going to explain most of these for you. Don't say that these are comments and I can skip it. You can't skip it. Your WordPress uses this information for versioning your theme, for showing your theme in the result and everything. The first part is your theme name. We just call it the first theme. The second part is your theme URI. When you published your theme on the WordPress repository, you can change it, but for now, we can call it just first theme. The author is going to be your name as the developer, so I'm going to just write my name. The author URI is your personal website URI. If you have a personal website, you can put it in here. When you put your theme on WordPress repository, WordPress is going to use this description field as your description. And if someone filters the results in WordPress theme repository based on this tags, it's going to show your theme. And the version. It's very important to version your theme for future releases. What's the minimum version of WordPress that your theme requires? It's here, 5.0. And what is the latest version of WordPress that you tested your theme on? We're saying 5.8. And this is the required version of PHP. And the two next parts are the licenses. If you need more information about licensing, you can see this link in WordPress theme handbook. It talks about licensing and GPL in WordPress. It basically helps other developers and users to know how to use your theme. One more important part is text domain. When you want your theme to be multilingual, WordPress uses this text domain to translate your strings in your theme. We'll talk about this more in its own part. It's a good practice to set it the same as your WordPress theme name. So I'm just going to call it first theme. These are extra information. You can delete it. You can type whatever you want here. It doesn't matter. I'm just going to delete it. Well, this was the first step. The second step is to create the other mandatory file that is called index.php. I'm just going to create it and leave it empty for now. Now our theme should be shown in the Appearance Themes section. It's here, our first theme. You can click on Theme Details to see the details that we put in Style Css, your version, your author name, your description, and tags and everything. And now you can activate this theme. But now you can see that there is one thing missing, and it's our theme screenshot. Going back to the theme folder, I'm just going to paste my screenshot image, call it a screenshot, and the type should be either PNG or JPG. The recommended dimensions are 1200 width and 900 pixels of height. Now if you see your theme, you can see that your screenshot is loaded here. In a normal PHP or HTML file, when you want to include a CSS or JS file, you use the head tag, and inside that head tag you put your styles and scripts like this: a link tag or a script tag. But this is not the accepted way in WordPress. In WordPress we need to enqueue those styles and scripts. So for enqueuing those files, we need to write a function to read those files. WordPress reads the functions from functions.php file, so we need to create that file in our theme main folder. We call it functions.php. So before I explain this, you need to get familiar to a concept called hooks in WordPress. In WordPress we have two kinds of hooks: action hooks and filter hooks. We use action hooks when we want a function happen in a certain time. For example, this is the list of WordPress actions. You can see the name of each action and when it happens and what you can do inside in it. These actions happens in a certain order, and the action we need for now is WP enqueue scripts. We need to use this action and tell WordPress that when you wanted to load and enqueue the scripts, run this function and enqueue our styles and scripts too. We have another type of hooks in WordPress called filters. We use filters for changing data in WordPress. Something like title of a post, the content of a post, and you can even write your custom filter hooks and action hooks too. Enough for hooks now. We'll do a whole video on this in another time. So what we do is, in our functions file, we write a function. We can call this function theme enqueue styles. Inside this function we need to call a WordPress function called WP_enqueue style. The first parameter of this function is the name of our style file. We can call it the main style. The second parameter is the address of the file. The file is in our main folder, so for getting the main folder address in WordPress, we can use this function, get template directory URI. And after that, we type the Style.css. The other parameters are not required, but they are the dependencies that you can tell WordPress that don't enqueue this file unless another file is enqueued. And version. You can set this the same as your theme version. That for now is 0.1. After that, we need to tell WordPress that when to run this function. We need to call add action. The first parameter is the name of our action, which is WP_enqueue scripts. And the second parameter is our function name, which for now is a theme enqueue styles. So one more important thing that we need to do is that tell WordPress here to load the head tag. We can't create our theme without a head tag, so WordPress loads this head tag and all the links and scripts within a WP head function. So we need to call this function WP_head and make sure that the styles get loaded. So if I check the main page now one more time, now I should see the change happens and the paragraph gets a red color. So for now we learned how to enqueue a style in our WordPress theme. We can use the same way for scripts. So if you wonder how to use a front-end framework like Bootstrap or Foundation or Tailwind in your theme, I'm going to show you how. I'm just going to download the Foundation framework and use it in my theme. And now I have the latest version of this framework here. You can see that CSS and JS files are in an assets folder here. It's better to always organize your files in your theme folder. I'm going to create an assets folder for my styles and scripts files. And in this folder, I'm going to create a CSS folder and a JS folder. And all the CSS files here go to this folder. I need this Foundation CSS. Here, we don't need the other files. If you have a custom need, you can use it. And Foundation and Render in my JS folder. You can do the same thing for any other framework like Bootstrap. Now in the code editor, we need to enqueue these styles and scripts. I'm going to write this function in my functions.php file. For the foundation.css file, I'm just going to copy this line and change the values. So this should be foundation and the address should be assets css and foundation.css. This file doesn't have any dependencies and its version, you can call this whatever you want, but it's optional. I'm not going to call it. For the other file, it was a JavaScript file. So for our JavaScript files, we need to call the WP enqueue scripts. So the first parameter, like the WP enqueue style, is the name of the script. So this is the foundation, and the address is the same. So for dependencies, this file depends on jQuery. So you need to call jQuery in this dependency. You have to call an array. You have to write an array and pass the jQuery to it. And the other parameters is optional. And the other parameters are version, which can be 001. And we have another parameter which is in footer. You can set this to true, that your JavaScript file always loads in the footer. We have another file which is vendor.js, and we have to call that too. So this file doesn't really depend on jQuery. I'm not going to say that it has a dependency. I'm going to pass this empty array. Pass an empty array. So now let's see if this styles get loaded or not. I'm going to create a button with a class of button and a class of primary. And I'm going to write the text button and close the tag. And let's check the main page of our website and see what happens now. We have the button with the foundation style. It's very simple, but we're going to make it better in the next videos. So for now, we just learned that how to use this. But one more important thing is to how use jQuery in your theme. WordPress has some preloaded scripts in it. This is a list of functions that WordPress has already registered, and you just need to enqueue them and call the name of the file. jQuery is one of these files, so for enqueuing jQuery you don't have to specify a source for it, and you just have to call wp enqueue script, and in the parameter just pass the jQuery. That's it, you don't have to define anything else. And one more important thing is that you have to put these files in the right order. So after your framework got loaded, you need to load your custom CSS file. And after jQuery loaded, you have to call the foundation. And after that, you need to load the custom script file. WordPress loads this in the order that you wrote it. So for now, our theme is done. We have details for our theme, and we're good to go. See you in the next video. Share this video if you think it'll be useful for someone else, and subscribe for more development videos.